Good afternoon. I'm Kelly Eklund with Eklund Properties, and I'm here with Natasha Mangoshe with Eklund Properties and one of our favorite local lenders, Casey Moen with Stockman Bank. We thought that we would get together, the three of us, and just have a conversation about what is going on in the lending world today in case we can answer any questions ahead of time for borrowers who just may not be in the know. So my first question, Casey, would be, what options do VA borrowers have today that they may not be aware of?
Totally. Well, we have a great VA market, obviously, with the base here in Great Falls. And so, like we talked about before, as a VA buyer, you can literally walk into a transaction and own a home at the end of the day and actually get money back, right? So up to your earnest money back, right? So obviously, the veteran always has a 0% down option. They're going to have their closing costs, but if we can get the sellers to negotiate to pay those costs for them, they can actually chew up every bit of those closing costs and get their earnest money back into the transaction and actually walk out with literally zero money out of pocket.
I don't think there would be anybody who would not like that.
Correct.
Tell me about what options a VA borrower may have for a multi-family home versus a single-family home, because I think that opens up some options for them.
It does. So obviously we know that inventory is low right now. We don't have as many of the single families properties that we'd love to have. But if we do have a multi-unit option, obviously that payment may be a little bit higher than that individual would like. They can still get into that and occupy one of those, whether it be a 2 to a 4 unit property. And they can help offset that large payment with the future rents that they're going to receive from each of those units. One thing that we have to keep in mind is that there has to be a lease that transfers over with that property, and then we can use 75% of that number to help them qualify for that next payment, knowing that they're going to make some money on those other 2 to 3 units that they have, as long as they occupy one of those units as their primary residence.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What is required of the borrower then when they bring that idea to you?
Of course, they just have to income qualify for the payment, credit qualify, just like we always have to go through that process. But again, like I said, as long as if they can income qualify for the whole payment themselves, we don't even have to use those rents to help offset that payment. But if we need to, we certainly can. And it's again, for any first-time home buyer, especially, and the same can be for actually an FHA. You can get into a multi-unit property, occupy one of those units. If you don't have a VA benefit as a first-time home buyer for 3.5% down, then use those future rents to help you qualify for that as well too. So I think a lot of the younger population is really fixed on finding that first single family, but I mean there's a lot of great multi-unit stuff, especially in Great Falls, that they can certainly take advantage of for the same initial low down payment.
And I think that it's helpful to remember as a first-time home buyer that is not going to be your forever home.
Right.
We were at a baby shower the other day. We were talking to a young man, well, not so young anymore, but he has several rentals, and he said, too many people think that we have to have that first home be the home.
Right.
And he said, why not buy into a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex and just know that you're just going to occupy until such time as you're free to leave.
Yep, for sure.
I love that FHA also has that same option.
Yep, and we're even getting into that with conventional. So prior to this year, if you wanted to find a multi-unit and go just the straight conventional route, you had to have as much as 25% down for a multi-unit. Now, just like FHA, for 5% down, you can get into a multi-unit conventional. First time ever this year, and same situation. So that's nice because some of the properties, as we know in Great Falls, sometimes need a little work, right? I mean, we need a roof, we need some exterior paint, and maybe they just won't government go FHA or VA appraisal, right? So that now having that conventional option is great too. One thing that we need to keep in mind is we need reserves. And what I mean by that is, so say your house payment is $2,000 a month, you may need up to 6 months of reserves with a multi-unit, which you don't need with single family. So an individual might need, for example, $12,000 that we need to verify just sitting off in the corner. And what that is that's just reserves or just in case they have a vacancy. It just shows that they can still make that payment for a couple of months if they don't have any renters in that property, and that's only for multi-unit.
And would that have to be sitting in a bank account, or could that be held in an investment portfolio?
Right. A lot of our VA borrowers have like a TSP or a retirement program. You just have to show, what are the terms of getting that money if we have to get to it. But retirement, any other account that can be liquidated or cash. Yeah.
So another option that we've heard about is Montana Board of Housing. Can you speak to that? Tell buyers what they can expect if they wanted to qualify for those funds.
Totally. So Montana Board of Housing is an unbelievable product. They have a subsidized interest rate. So compared to just your regular FHA and VA rate, they have a little grant program or a subsidized interest rate. So it's really the cheapest option to go. Just like any other assistance, they have molds that you have to fit depending upon your family size, depending upon how much money you make, depending upon how much assets that you have in the bank. Have you owned a home in the past? As long as it's a very conservative mold though, it fits a lot of the population. So as long as you fit into that mold, we underwrite the loan. Montana Board of Housing will take it. They do like it to be your primary residence, obviously, and a single family unit. They don't love the multi-unit option. But it's the most affordable option right now. It really is. And again, subsidized rate, and it's a great first-time home buyer option as well too. You can actually get up to $15,000 in down payment assistance and closing
Wow.
costs.
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Can you think of any others? Be helpful?
I don't have any questions right now, but I
What
guess
are you guys seeing in the market as far as what's your biggest challenge right now as far
I
as
think the biggest is first-time home buyers,
Yeah.
our younger buyers that are being priced out by the interest rates. And then for sellers that are not sure they want to move because they have a rate that's great right now and it's going to be higher. But we are seeing some movement. It's just not at the rate we want.
right? Yeah, and that's one thing that I'm trying to. I'm more of a financial planner right now than I am
Right.
a mortgage guy. We're trying to create a roadmap for home ownership. It might not be this weekend that we're buying or 2 months. It might be 6 months. But that's what a lot of those folks are saying the same way. Hey, we're going to wait for rates, but we got to remember as rates trickle, demand is going to go in
Right.
the exact opposite direction. So
You see multi offers again.
Yep. And I think right now is the best time to just be prepared because, as we all know, clients want to go for the drive on the weekend and it might just pop up right away. So we want to make sure that we have as much information in front of us now, to
That's
make
it.
a solid offer.
That's a great point you made too. So borrowers that are not sure that they'd be able to qualify right now, but they want to position themselves to be able to buy in the future, it'd be a great idea for them to sit down with you and have conversations.
Absolutely. Yep. And like I said, it's pre-approval's fast, it's easy, it's free, right? So it's just good to sit down and have those detailed conversations. And another thing that's going to happen right now, I know we talked a little bit earlier this week, it's tax season time, right? So people are filing those taxes. More than not, we're going to have a return coming our way.
Right.
I mean, if we have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 in return money, that could be 3.5% down on an FHA first-time home buyer, right?
Absolutely.
There you go.
Or that could be a chunk of the closing costs that you don't have to have that house that seller to pay for, which we know is always can be tough. Get them to cover closing costs. So I think if people can strategize. Another thing, with inflation, consumer debt is at an all-time high right now.
Right.
So as far as debt to income ratios with rates being high, there's a lot of people that maybe can afford that house payment, but it just doesn't fit the debt to income ratios, right?
Okay.
So if we can use that tax return money, come up with a plan, pay down as much consumer debt as we possibly can. I'm really coaching people to just only have a house payment, only have a vehicle payment if you get you from A to B, and try to get some rid of the consumer stuff because some of the credit card rates are 30, 35%
Oh my
right now,
gosh,
and
it's crazy.
it's really putting a damper on qualification.
So if someone was going to potentially buy a property down the road, what should they bring? What should go meet with you? We start planning that out.
Totally. So income and assets are the biggest thing. So just having either recent pay stubs or income job verification, as well as just any of your most recent bank statements, and then anything that is going to happen in the next couple of months. If you plan to have to buy a car, so we can build that
That's
in.
a
Right.
good point.
Right.
Are you going to pay something off in the next couple of months that we can exclude?
Right.
Just as much financial detailed information as they can bring certainly helps.
So the best way for anybody to get a hold of you, if they wanted to start that conversation,
Yes,
would
just
be.
my cell phone.
You want to
406-370-1886.
Perfect.
There you go.
Casey, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to answer our questions. We hope that we've answered some questions that folks may have. And if they have other questions that we didn't cover, then we hope that we will call.
We'll do it again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.